Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm chatting with Kyle Matthew. Kyle is an up-and-coming actor, writer, and producer, currently filming an exciting guest star role for Disney's Bunk'd, and filming his supporting role in an upcoming feature film that will be announced later in the year. Fresh out of USC's BA acting program, he recently starred in Uninvited, which premiered at the Burbank International Film Festival, as well as Charlie Hughes, which premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival. We have a fun chat, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello.
Hey, Kyle. Thanks so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
I was seeing that you grew up near Dallas. Now, I grew up near Dallas. You grew up in Dallas. The game we always played in college was, but nobody lives in Dallas. Where are you really from? Are you from actual Dallas proper or Plano, Garland?
That's a game I have frequented as well, and I actually am from Dallas proper. If you wanted to write me a letter to my childhood home,
you would actually have to put Dallas
address. You would have to put Dallas.
Oh wow! See, we used to joke that there was nobody that actually lived in actual Dallas because we were all Garland or Carrollton or some other thing.
That's so funny.
So I had seen that you had started out super into basketball, and I'm always curious what gets people into acting, and then what makes it grow into that thing that makes you have to go to college for to really go pro at it. In anything, basketball, acting, or whatever. But can you talk a little bit about what made you focus your energies towards the stage, towards acting?
Sure. Yeah. So as you mentioned, growing up, I was pretty set on being a professional basketball player. I wore NBA sweatbands every day to school. I was obsessed with the Lakers, and I even had my bar mitzvah theme centered around basketball. So it wasn't until around the 8th grade where I decided to officially make the jump from the court to the screen and stage, so to speak. And this was around the same time when I won Best Actor at Shakespeare Day at my school. And I also happened to realize and really had the reality sink in that my chances of being over 6 foot were slim to none. So that was kind of the time when I really made the official transition.
You didn't want to just go for that Spud Webb slot. You could just be the.
I could have been. I knew I would have needed a trampoline, and I just didn't want to have to carry that around with me everywhere I went.
So what was the Shakespeare Day role that got you the Best Actor?
So every year at my school where I went to from kindergarten through 12th grade, which is Green Hill School, shout out GHS, they have this activity called Shakespeare Day in 8th grade. And basically every year, everyone in the English classes would perform a scene from Romeo and Juliet. And there would be, I think, 10 to 15 people, maybe less, whose groups were picked to perform for the entire middle school. And my group was one of those, and we ended up performing. And the scene, I was Mercutio, Act 3, Scene 2, the death scene, and Plague on Both Your Houses. I still remember bits of it to this day, and it was when I really got my first, I guess, recognition. And of course, people like to be good at the things that they love, and I'd always been very outgoing, and always loved storytelling, always loved playing make-believe. So I think that moment, the reason why I always refer back to that moment as the moment when I say I caught the acting bug, was I believe that it was the permission, it was a symbolic permission that in order for me to give permission to myself to really pursue this dream and to let go of basketball, which had been a big part of my life up to that point.
And when when it came time to go off to school for this, were you always set on majoring in this and looking towards a career in it?
100%. I knew that it's a craft like anything other. And, I could never guarantee that I was going to be the most talented person in any room. And oftentimes I wouldn't be, but I knew that I always wanted to be the hardest working. And in order to do that, I knew I had to take my craft very seriously. And in order to do that, I knew I needed to study it at the next level.
And so I'd seen on your resume that you're taking classes with the Groundlings, that's a troupe that's put out so many of I think everybody's favorite comedians. Can you talk about what drew you to them, both reputation wise and then also, I mean, they've got a different style than UCB. Was there something about how they approach comedy that you particularly liked?
Of course, yeah. So I've loved studying at the Groundlings. It's been, I mean, don't get me wrong, the classes are super challenging, but it's been so great being able to connect back with my inner child, and have really met some super incredible people along the way who I believe will be a part of my life for a very long time. I actually had taken classes at UCB before, and I really enjoyed them. The reason why I made the switch to the Groundlings was just to gain a different perspective, because UCB focuses more on game and story versus the Groundlings, which focuses more on character. And so I had seen a bunch of Groundling shows, and I hadn't remembered the last time I had laughed like I did every time I was able to go into a Groundling show. So it kind of made it an easy choice to really say to myself, like, I want to check this out. Let's see what this is all about. And so that was one of the main reasons that inspired me to start taking classes there. And I'm super excited about continuing my studies there once in-person classes are available again.
Has there been something along the way that really surprised you as far as an exercise or a tip or something that you went, oh wow, that really worked?
I think in a lot of ways, as humans, we have these great, super advanced brains that try to overcomplicate pretty much everything. I think that I know I do. I have this very special skill at overcomplicating most things. So I think in a lot of ways, improvisation in any form really simplifies storytelling to listening and being present. And if you're not present and you're not listening, you're not going to be able to continue the story in a way that makes sense. So I think in that way, every time the exercises were the most rewarding and the most fun and the most successful was when I was able to be truly present and listen and trust that that's enough.
Did you have a particular lightning strike moment where you remember first feeling that letting go, that scary relaxation of being in a moment with another person on stage?
That's a great question. Honestly, I know I've had one of those moments when the director calls cut, or I finish taping something for an audition and I can't really recall what had just happened. Similar to basically having your memory erased for that one moment because you were so in it. So I would say that is how I would be able to best describe that feeling. And it's fleeting and you don't get it every time, but when you do get it, it's super magical because nothing else matters. And you're just fully there in the moment with the people that you're telling the story with.
Yeah. I would imagine it'd be a bit like playing music in a band. If you stop and observe it a little too much while you're doing it, it's like thinking about your stride while you're running. Suddenly you can't like how do I walk? What do
exactly.
Just stop thinking about it. There's a reason they call it riding a bike. Yeah.
Exactly.
In terms of roles that you've got coming up, I know Bunk'd and movie projects and whatnot. Is there anything you can talk about that you're particularly excited about that you've got that you just did or have coming up?
Man, there's so many exciting things that are happening that I'm super, super pumped about that unfortunately I can't talk much about. The first was the feature film that I shot recently. That was my first project I shot during COVID. So as a result, the crew and the cast were virtually quarantined together during the whole filming process. So it resulted in a super intimate experience in the best way possible in terms of everyone got super close and everything flowed in a very natural and collaborative way. So I got to work with some super talented people on that project who I'm so excited to watch and see where their careers go, both the people I worked with in front of and behind the camera. And then in terms of Bunk'd, that was also a super, super, super special experience that, though I can't talk about the specifics of the role, that was also another really fun experience and memorable experience because of COVID. You have to understand that the week of filming, I got COVID tested 4 times within 7 days. So I feel like I'm a pro at that.
Like, oh no, I know right where the nasal swab goes.
Exactly.
I got this.
And so that was an experience in itself, and everyone takes the safety precautions super seriously, which obviously as they should, and I was so grateful for that. The entire cast and crew was wearing face shields and masks the entire time, and the only time when those weren't worn was only for the actors when they were literally shooting, and then the second the take was over, we would have to put all of our PPE back on. So that was also a very unique experience. But everyone in that show is so nice and so kind, and super excited for when that airs.
Yeah, I've been just continually amazed by the various stories of the way that different sets, different crews have reacted to COVID and quarantine and safety and all of that. I really applaud y'all for just putting up with it to get to go and do the work, because it's just what you got to do. And
yeah, so worth it.
I can't wait to see some of these things come out. Lip Sync Breakup is hysterical. I cracked up watching
that.
Thank you. When you were talking earlier about, you got to be the hardest working person, you can at least be the person that threw yourself the most into it. You are at 11, man. You're at 110% in that thing, and it's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's the energy level, I think, that made it really sing. No pun intended. Thanks so much for talking to me about it all today. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Have a great rest of your day, man.
Of course. Take care, lads.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.